Sri Lanka.
Hi, Shan.
Ningo,
Yeah, yes, Ravi.
no, 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 I was selling something to somebody else. Feel like you're in the office, is it?
Yes, yes.
What is that in the background? Yeah, so much of colors I can see.
Yeah, that is our Ram.
Okay.
YT has joined.
Uh, okay, Vikram. Okay, Vikram. Okay, I thought somebody else. So, Vaidi, hi, Vaidi. Good
Hi,
evening.
hi, Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka.
Okay. So, I thought somebody logged in with the name of Vikram. So, I
No,
thought
no,
it
no,
was the project name Vikram, like.
no, no.
Okay.
So, YT is joined, or he will be joining?
Yeah, yeah, Vaidishwaran will join.
Okay, okay,
Okay,
sure.
no problem. We'll just wait for a minute. So, Vaidishwaran will join in a couple of minutes. He got in some client call or something. He got stuck. He'll be joining in 2 minutes.
Okay,
The
okay,
No,
time
no,
will
join,
start,
join.
okay? We'll
sure,
start by the time.
sure,
Yeah?
sure. Do you want me to start?
Yes, yes, Vaidi.
Okay. So, very happy to be starting off this session on Gemba walks. Good afternoon to one and all present, and all of us joining and from different centers. So we are also very happy to be hosting a couple of panel members, experts, Ravi and Vaiti from Hapagloid team, who have some experience in Gemba walks, who will be sharing in their experience and expertise, so that we can learn a bit more about this new, for us, in fact, for us as an organization, this new practice. So we'll start off with some basic introductions of what Gemba walks are, how we can apply Gemba walks to our organization and to our processes. Maybe I'll start with asking Ravi a basic definition of to a lay person who doesn't know the subject. How would Ravi explain what a Gemba walk is? Maybe he can start off with the name, because the name itself sounds very fancy. It sounds like a dance form, or it sounds like sambar. So maybe Ravi can start off with that.
Sure, sure. Thank you, Vaidesh, and thank you, everyone. Good afternoon to you all. Thanks for making time to tune into this session to get educated about Gemba. I'm sure a lot of you all are curious about what Gemba is all about. So we thought it's a good uh, act to set up a session on DC Live and educate everybody and also create little buzz around this activity. So, like Vaidis mentioned, this is something that we are attempting for the first time. Definitely, this is not going to be the one and only one. We are intending to, you know, continue this and take it across to other processes in the next couple of months to come. So, what is Gemba? Can somebody from the audience take a guess? Srileka, even you're open to participate and share your views. Does anybody know what is Gemba? Has anybody even bothered to? or they made an effort to get what Gemba stands for on Google and come out with some understanding?
Ravi, I'm just guessing from the information what I got. Maybe like no, it's like a floor walk, a team connecting with another team, or something like that. People trying to understand what's happening in other process, learning about how it is works.
Yeah, uh, you're right. Anybody else?
The exact name is The Real Place.
Yeah, the real place. That's the exact name. So Gemba is basically a Japanese term. It translates to literally the place of work or the real place. That's what it translates to literal meaning. So what happens in our context? What is our actual place of work? Our actual place of work is our center, or all our centers rather, where the production is carried out. That becomes our actual place of work. So the idea of getting into this activity is it has a singular purpose: to look, to observe, and identify opportunities to improve. That's what it really means in simple language, in a layman's term. So, and typically this is done by external people. Why external people? Because people who are a part of the process are looking at it day in and day out, and they see it happening every day, right? So they may not be able to come out with a fresh perspective. The moment you bring an outsider, right, now that's when they are able to look at it from a different lens, different thought process, and come out with new ideas or new suggestions, or they even may come out with some new questions which will provoke or which will trigger new thoughts, which will lead to certain amount of improvement in the process. So that's what it simply means. It's all about visiting the actual place of work where work is carried out, and then you make your own observations. You interact with people, understand the process in detail, and look for opportunities where there can be improvement. So that's what Gemba work is all about. So we are going to, do this, initiate this activity for the first time ever in Desi Crew, and it's going to happen on the HL front. Now we are looking at it from a two-phased approach. One, we're looking at opportunities within Desi Crew. I mean, things like how do we improvise our HR, administration, facility, IT, infra, so on and so forth. Some of those things are also going to come out of this activity. Secondly, the most important beneficiary of this activity is aimed to be our client with his hypercloud. Now, how can we improvise their own processes? Is there any value addition we can do? Can we come out with certain steps? By performing those steps, will it make a difference to the person in the last mile, which is your end consumer, whoever is using these services of hypercloud? Are they going to get any benefit? Now, that's the crux of it. So that's where we are. So which is why we've formed two teams. We have two teams. One team is led by Pritesh. The other team is led by Vaidish. Each of the teams will have three members from different departments. So what also makes this activity slightly unique is that we've got a very mixed team composition. So the team in Kollu will have a representation from IT, somebody called Pavitra, who's joined us very recently. She's going to be part of the team. We have Bharti, who's a part of HDFC operations for a very long time. And then we also have Manikandan, who's a part of the QN Cloud team. So these three members will be led by Vaidish. And they will be carrying out this Gemba walk in Kollu on 13th and 14th, which is Thursday and Friday of this month. Similarly, in VPM, we have another unique composition there. Pritesh is going to lead a team of three people. We have a mix again here. Soumya, who's a part of the LLM team based out of Chennai. Shanmugaraj, who has a background in operations, who was a part of DTouch team, now who's going to be championing DMAX, right? So all that experience is going to come in here, along with a third person who's going to come in the form of expertise in the HR and hiring vertical, which is our Mohan Raj. So two teams are going to visit both the centers. They're going to spend 2 full days on the floor, observing, meeting, chatting with people, making notes, and then they will prepare a report. The report is going to largely classified under 5 buckets: people, process, technology, consumer or customer, and anything else that may fall we are not able to plot it, any of these 4 buckets will be plotted under the bucket called other, which will be presented to the management. So that's the summary of the activity which is going to be performed. It is very exciting for all of us, including me, because like I said, we're attempting it for the first time. This is not going to be the last one. This is the new beginning, and initiatives like this is going to continue to happen across Desi Crew. Mr. Mani also mentioned about Gemba Walks earlier this year in his New Year address note to everybody in the month of January. So I'm quite excited about it. So Vaidesh, Pritesh, and everybody else in the team, it's over to you guys. What is it that you are looking forward to, and how excited you are? How do you plan to do this? Something you want to share in detail? I think it will be good for all of us to know.
Sure. Thanks, Ravi. Thanks for this very wonderful introduction. So you spoke about Gemba Walk. So if, for instance, how much of interaction is allowed with production members, and is it, do you have a specific sort of, you prepare a set of questions, you go and ask them, or you observe and then you ask questions on the spot? How much of interactions is allowed? And also I have another follow-up questions, because you gave a very broad definition of a Gemba walk. Now, we've learned about Henry Fayol's principles of management, F.W. Taylor's principles of management. So, scientific study, time motion studies, and so on. So how is a Gemba walk different from Henry Fayol's principles and so on? So these 2 questions, maybe if you can outline.
Thank you. So first, in terms of how much time is given, you'll be interacting with users. Definitely, you have 2 full days, 16 working hours to be spent in the location. And you have all the freedom to interact with users. But of course, what may not be possible is to pull out people in one go and speak to the entire team and engage with them for a couple of hours in one session. That may not happen. But definitely you can pull up people at individual levels and interact with them for a couple of hours. And yeah, so that's on the time that you will require. But like I said, this activity will involve a lot of observation, more of listening. So basically, this is how it goes. You take a walk on the floor, you observe what people are doing, you just sit next to them, you observe what they're doing, you may not even speak to them there. You make your notes, your observations to affirm, to take a reconfirmation that your understanding is right, and you may want to get some additional questions answered is when the interaction is going to happen. So the level of interaction is going to be a little less. It's more of seeing, less of talking, more of seeing, more of hearing, and less of talking. Let me put it that way. So that's going to be the sequence of the order. And if you have to really give a breakup of how much time has to go in seeing, I think 60% of time has to be spent in observing what's happening, and about 30% of time has to be allocated to make your observations and pen them down and put them in a certain format, in a certain sequence, so that you're able to discuss amongst the team members. And about 10% is when you go back and speak to people and ask them and verify what you've gathered is right, and if you've got the right understanding of what you're supposed to get. So that's how it's going to be. Now, in terms of management principles, I think there are multiple principles that have eventually evolved over a period of time. Even Kaizen is adopted to Gemba, right? I think every improvement starts with observation. Without observation, you cannot really make any improvement. So by that, this is something going back to like basics. This is the first layer of change, right? I'm just going back to the Newton's law of, how did Newton even discover law of gravity? He just sat under the apple tree and he was observing what's happening to the tree,
right?
Isn't it?
Right.
If you would have observed that, you would have never figured out that there is something called as gravity. So that's how important it is for us to take this activity to the floor and observe what's happening around us. Maybe we are able to come out with some new definitions and new theories, which could be new to the entire BPO world also. We don't know. We could be formulating some new theories for the entire industry per se. So how keen are we in terms of observing? What I would suggest is, when we come for observation, we should come with an open mind. Come with an open mind to learn and to ask more questions. Let's not come with a fixated mind, because, obviously the industry has evolved. All of us have had numerous years of work experience, and we have a certain way of looking at things. We look at things in a certain lens, and it is focused, it is restricted to a certain degree only.
Yes, yes.
Somehow, what we need to do here is we need to unlearn everything for a day and come here with a blank mind, like an empty slate, right?
Yeah.
To have new things to be etched on that, and that becomes a form of observation. So, this definitely is what really makes it unique is that you're actually going to the shop floor, right?
Yes.
Everything else that happens on later on is basically building over what you've done,
Yeah.
which is similar to a lot of management principles. That is where you derive your action plans. That is where you derive your RCS and corrective plans. But here you're actually going to the ground to figure out what's happening there on the ground.
Yes. So you spoke about having people from outside the team. So would you say that's a disadvantage, because sometimes a lot of technical information somebody from outside the team will not understand. So whereas if you put people in the team, they will know the ins and outs of the process very well. So they can probably you can understand things very well. So how would you say that, find balance between finding somebody who's new to the process but also understands the process? How do you find that balance?
I think it's I think it's a very nice question, Vaidesh. But I think this is where our thought process and our ability to think really comes in. In fact, today I was watching a very beautiful video about Mr. Agarwal. So I don't know how many of you all remember Mr. Agarwal. Does anybody know who's Mr. Vedanta Group Agarwal? Have you all heard about Vedanta Group?
Yes, yes.
So it's a beautiful story. So when Mr. Agarwal wanted to venture into Vedanta, he just had a corpus of 5 crore rupees. And one of the Navratnas was on sale. Okay, Government of India was kind of pledging the holdings, and they had called for a bid, and a lot of people had gone for bidding also. Now, Mr. Agarwal he won the bid. To his surprise, he won the bid, and all of his team members were asking him, "Sir, now that you've won the bid, the demand for the bid is you have to deposit 500 crores, but all we have is 5 crore. How are we going to do this?" And he did something very unique and very interesting. And he was not even an established businessman at that point in time, right? What he did was very unique. He went to all the banks for loans. He also knew that all the banks are not going to give him the loan very easily because he does not have a strong reputation in terms of being an entrepreneur. So he went and approached about 5 to 10 banks. He told all the banks that we've got a deal to take over this Navratna. Whoever is going to offer loan to us first is going to be I'm going to borrow money from them. So you'll be surprised to know it's all about packaging, right?
Yes.
All the banks came and offered him money, and in fact, he got surplus of about 2,000 crores. He had
Wow.
to return the money back, and he started his Vedanta group. Eventually, he's a billionaire in today's date.
Yes, yes.
So here he was not an entrepreneur, but he wanted to make a difference. He wanted to bring a change. So what really came to his rescue was his thought process, his perspective that was fresh from outside. Had it been a regular entrepreneur who had the money also, I'm sure he would not have been able to think as creatively as what Mr. Agarwal thought. So bringing a fresh perspective is always important because it also gives an individuals who are a part of the team to think creatively. It is their opportunity to showcase their own skills, right? While we are also looking at what the activity can give us in return from a benefit standpoint, but it's also up to you to challenge your own individual question to see how much of a difference you are able to bring in to this entire activity and how you are able to enhance evolution to your own growth factor or your own knowledge factor. So I think I've tried to answer that question. I'm not sure if that was a convincing answer though.
Yeah, yeah. I got the answer, Ravi. It was very nice answer to a very, difficult question, because it's a balance. At the end of the day, you have to strike that balance.
Right.
So, any questions anybody has for Ravi or any of the other team members?
Okay. Vaidesh, we have Shanmugaraj also here. Shanmugaraj and Mani. If they also want to share some comments or something about
Sure, sure, sure. Yeah. So, Shanmugaraj, any pointers from you? Any observations which you'd like to share?
Yeah, Manikandan.
Yeah, hi Ravi.
Yeah, we'll come to Manikandan next. Shanmugaraj, you can. Yeah.
Yeah. See, what I understood from this particular Gemba walk, like the discussion we had, and also uh, Ravi also shared certain documents. Right? We are going to observe haploid process for 2 days, and based on our experience and our point of view, we are going to escalate all the suggestions, right, to improve the process, which is going to delight the customers, right? So we are starting this particular Gemba walk with Hapagloid right now, and later on, after looking at the success, maybe Ravi and our management will also extend this to other processes to delight our customers. That's what I understood. So hope I'm really delighted to join this team, and we are going to have this Gemba walk on 13th and 14th, and the reports will be generated. So one question I have for you, Ravi, like once we observe all these things and all the reviews and all, so how we are going to present it, whether we are going to have it in a different day or we are going to complete it on the same day.
No, not really, Shanmugh. I think you should take 2 days time to compile. You should have a discussion with your team members, collect the data, eliminate the duplicates. Maybe while you're discussing, some more fresh perspectives may also come, right?
Okay.
You put that report in a certain format. I've already shared that PPCT basically. People,
Okay.
process, technology, customer, right?
Correct.
Bucketize them, and whatever you're not able to fit into any of these will go under other.
Hmm.
So if you guys are ready, we will schedule a call. Mr. Mani is going to be a part of the call, and we will see who else. Uh,
So we'll be having the discussion after 14.
right. Maybe we can take a So we are giving you at least another 5 days from then.
Okay.
To come back and submit your final report with all the recommendations.
Okay. Thank you, Ravi. Thank you, Vagesh.
Yeah. So Manikandan, any pointers from your side?
Yeah, hi, from my side, it's like no, the Gemba walk is like a new initiative. It's a really good one. As for my understanding, that like no, to understanding the new process, giving that good views and know how they are currently processing and what are the areas that they can improve in terms of all the aspects like people, infra, and the process oriented, all the end-to-end deliverables, whatever possibilities. So those kind of things that we need to focus to observe them, all the aspects, and provide our feedback. Based on the feedback, we can improve our deliverables as much as possible, and we can able to avoid such things like if they have any impediments or if they have some other infra issues or something, we can able to facilitate to make the process go to the higher level or next level. That's what my understanding.
Sure. Thanks, Manikandan. Anybody else? Any pointers? Yeah, sure. Vinod Rao, please go ahead.
Yeah, so Ravi, the question I have is, maybe this is something that you have already thought of and implemented, but I just wanted to put my point across. Before somebody comes to the floor and starts the Gemba walk, is it possible for the process to share the SOP and the SLAs, in advance, so that when the person is actually coming for the floor walk, they kind of understand what happens in this process, what do they do, and what are the SLAs, so that they have a head start. Instead of having to start from zero on day one, they can probably start with a better understanding of the process, if that is feasible, and if maybe you have already thought of this.
Yeah, I think that's a good point, Vinod. See, there are certain limitations. The SOPs are confidential in nature, and so that's one. We may not be able to put it out there for the team members also at this juncture. Two, for HL, pretty much all our SOPs are within the client server only. So we can't even download it. There is no mechanism for us to share it either ways. So that kind of gets ruled out for us. But what we will do is we are going to give them an orientation on what HL is all about, and give them certain understanding, which is going to be better than coming with no information or no background. Maybe halfway through where they would have been with the support of the SOP. And then they'll have to kind of put that extra effort to go through the SOPs on the floor, which is why we're also doing this for 2 complete days because of some of these constraints.
Sure.
So, Ravi, you spoke about the report. You spoke about the different headings under which we should bucketize these different issues, whichever we feel should be highlighted. But is there a format you are expecting? Do you need a bulleted list, or do you need an essay form? What is it you're looking at?
So we just need it in an Excel sheet. So I'll just share a template also by this to make it easy.
Sure,
So
sure.
we can just capture everything in columns and rows.
Yeah.
It becomes easy for us to filter and do some dissection, to slice the data and look at it from a different perspective also.
Yes.
Yeah, it's going to be fairly simple one.
Yeah, but then we can also make it ready for the next time we take it to the client. We can prepare a report now, which is useful for the next time as well, so that we can get the format ready.
True.
Yeah, sure.
Right.
Any other questions? Any pointers from anyone?
Yeah, Vaidesh, we have Karthik here.
Hi, Vaidesh. Hi, Ravi.
Hi.
Karthik, hi.
Hi.
How are you, Ravi?
Good, Karthik. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, Ravi. Ravi, I have a question here. So, when you start working on this, have you made any COPPA analysis with the HL process already in place? Then, based on that, you are going to start the process improvement areas where you need to focus, or how it is going to work, Ravi?
So live. I was telling some time back. See, we are already a part of the day-to-day operation. So our vision will be skewed. It will be bent in a certain direction only. Okay, which is why we want to bring in a fresh perspective. I may feel that I don't think there is any scope for improvement or scope for automation or whatever it can be. But the moment 3 to 4 people from a different team come all together here, they can give in that perspective and they can share that, this can be done in a certain way.
Okay.
So that's where this activity is also relied heavily on the external people, because we really want to leverage on this time that is getting invested. So me doing it with my team member may not really yield me a great result as much as the activity being carried out by the outsiders or the external people is going to give me benefit. Of course, there are going to be limitations in terms of, you may come back with a proposal saying that why can't you do X, Y, Z. I may come back and tell you, no, it can't be done because the process doesn't allow us, which is okay. I know it can't be done because the process stops me, but a validation team will not know that, right? So it is okay for them to make that observation and come back. But the idea is, even that exchange of that perspective can also trigger a new perspective. We don't know, right?
Yeah, even all the ideas getting generated is not going to be get implemented unless otherwise the client is agree with this.
Well, I mean, there's of course going to be a certain amount of dependency on client, but knowing HL, they are very eager. They're always excited to do anything new, and it's also about how we package it. See, end of the day, packaging is very important. If the idea is going to be of some amount of benefit to them, definitely they will take it. Why wouldn't they take it? If we are going to propose something to you, somebody proposes something to you to make certain changes in the way you are working as an individual, if that change can benefit you to go to the next level, why wouldn't you take it? Isn't it? So I think that's where packaging comes in. How you package and convey your point is very important. And so that's something that we will ensure we will not let lose or let go of an opportunity at all.
Okay.
Definitely.
Because since the process itself is a volume based data, so there are much scope, but like you said, they have a structured system in place. So
True.
the opportunity for us to suggest for a small improvement, that become a big challenge for us.
True. No, I think there is definitely a valid point. So there are two ways of looking at it. One, let me give it a shot. My job is to give suggestions and give changes and give recommendations.
Yes.
They do it, they don't do it, is up to them. That's the typical way of looking at it. Two, if you're very convinced that this is going to make a difference, you need to fight for it. Fight as in not really go up in arms with them and fight with them, but then convince them with your points. I want to give a very small example because this happened, I think, way back in 2008 or 9. I'm sorry, I'm taking it a little long. So back then, I used to work with Airtel. I was heading their operations for North India for telemedia. And we had set up a new center exclusively in a city called Bhopal. And we were approaching a date which was very, very devastating in the calendar of Bhopal, because that was the anniversary of Babri Masjid demolition day. Okay, so that was a very sensitive issue in North India, especially in UP and MP and Bihar. And we were approaching the date, and we had to take precautions to ensure that BCP is in place. Our center had about 1900 people working, one entire building. And we had to operate in a way where nobody knew that we were operating also. Okay. And we had to ensure the business is seamless, the call center operates without any disruptions. So
Basically, BCP.
BCP had to kick in.
Yeah.
But along with that date came another problem. So there is something called as dunning in telecom. I don't know if anybody's got telecom background. Dunning is a process where you bar the numbers for which you have not received payment. We all use mobile phone. Pretty much most of us are on postpaid. You have a due date to make a payment. If you fail to make a payment on the due date, you are given a certain grace days of 4 or 5 days.
Yeah.
After which your number gets barred. And that happened to be a dunning date for 3 states. 3 states.
Okay.
So, and MP was one of the state. So, which means on a dunning date, you also get more volumes. People complain that what the hell, I'm your ex-customer, why are you barring me? Unbar me, I'm going to make the payment later. You get those kind of volumes from other regions. So I took up the case to Airtel heads and told that, it's not the right time for us to do dunning. Why don't we stop dunning? And dunning is loss of revenue for them. Okay, because there are customers who do not pay. They misuse and they abandon the SIM card. I'm talking about 2009, not in 24, right? And every day is for them, lakhs and lakhs of revenue goes for a loss because people tend to misuse. It's airtime. So I requested them to, defer the dunning date itself. And they said it can't be done. It's never happened in the history of Airtel. It is linked to revenue. The billing team is not going to agree to this. It's their revenue. Why will they take a hit on their revenue? So I gave them a packaging of the entire concept as to why they should look at deferring the dunning date. I linked it to their brand image. I created a picture where somebody in MP who's traveling back, getting down from a train in Bhopal in the morning, is trying to call his parents and his phone is barred and there is chaos in city. Up in north, it is chaotic. UP Bihar is a horrible place. Hope nobody records me and I don't get into trouble for this, but 19 years back, it was full of hooliganism. And especially an event like a Babri Masjid, thing was very, very sensitive. There were curfews every other year. You can imagine the kind of stone pelting, the kind of violence that erupts on the street. So imagine if there is a child getting down from a station, his phone is barred, is not able to reach his mother, father, whatever, and is not able to convey about his safety. So I conveyed this entire point to them in such a way that they got eventually convinced. We had calls till 11 o'clock, 11:30 in the night to President's office. So President's office is Sumit Bharti Mittal, who had an office in Orka, in Gurgaon. It went up all the way to Sumit Bharti Mittal. They agreed to defer the dunning date by 1 week. Okay. It's all about persistence in your effort and your endeavor. If the idea or a suggestion is going to bring in a value add, they will take it. It's a matter of time. And that's when I thought I should give you that example of how I was able to defer the dunning day. It was a big thing, let me tell you. To you guys, it may sound it's very small. People at very, very senior level in Airtel who were working there for 20 years could never make this happen, which I made it happen by simply positioning their brand and creating an impact around their brand. It's all about how you package your points.
Yeah. Thanks, Ravi. Thanks for answering. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, any other questions or any pointers from Saravanan? Saravanan is here on the call.
No, nothing. We're just listening to what you've been.
Yeah. We're looking for different perspectives from different people. So, any pointers would be nice because we are this is a first attempt at Gemba for us.
True, definitely. Yeah, I read a bit and I listened to you all, and so looking forward to it. So let's see, and at the end of the day, if the process and also the process benefits and the advice benefit and the company benefit, right? Productivity is something. See, Gamba also talks about the productivity aspect. The entire circle, what we do is like to derive productivity out of it and do something better than what we have been doing. So that is what gist of this is. So I don't have anything to add. I've been on the listening mode, Vaidhi. Thank you.
Sure. Thanks, Saravanan. So, Ravi, when we go back to the client, what would they be happy with if we show them a report? It's a hypothetical case. Let's say in the future, we do another Gemba and then we take a report to them. So what would they be happy to see? What improvements would they be happy to see and implement? And it would be a good showcase for us.
I think it's a little tricky to answer at this point in time, but essentially we're looking at automation. That's the big wave right now. How are we able to automate the processes? Because there is very little you can do to create a major impact to their brand, right? They're a global brand. We are not there yet. Of course, we aspire. I'm personally driving and aspiring to get to that level where we are able to be a game changer for them in the global platform. But we are not there yet. In the current context, how can we do automation to speeding up the process, and how is it translating to financial gains for HL? Okay, so
Okay.
that's two. The third part is how is it also going to bring in a new wave of change within Desi Crew? There could be certain observations you are going to make about how we are handling, how we are operating certain things, which can be replicated across in other businesses, right?
Yes.
That should also become uh, something that can bring in change for their customers. So that's the other angle to it.
Okay. So productivity, efficiency, those are also pointers which we can
Yes.
look at, right?
True.
Okay. Great. So anybody else, any pointers just to liven up the session?
Mohan, Marita, Srinidhi, anything from your side? Mohan Raj, Mohan Kumar is here. Arni Swami.
We want to hear more ideas before we actually do the process.
Yeah.
So it would be good to hear from people who are actually working on the floor.
Just only one question, Ravi. Who is that no, handling from Kolumangudi Center for HL?
Who is handling what? Sorry.
Like any AM or any lead? Is that
Vaidishwaran.
from Vaidishwaran?
Vaidishwaran.
Okay, okay.
I think Vaidhi should be on this call also.
No, he couldn't join, Ravi.
Okay.
So I called him, but
Mhm.
unfortunately he couldn't join.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just I want to correct what exactly the correct. So, understand.
So I think we don't have any questions from our participants, I believe.
Yes.
I think we can end the call. Most
Yes,
of the
Ravi. Yes.
yeah.
I think this was a great input and a great initiate also. Maybe this is the first team who's going to move. One is from Vaidish and another one is from Pritesh from Chennai. Both are from Chennai. Maybe once this session is over, we'll be having one more session. It can be live from the floor or maybe a feedback how it was. And we can have two types, like people who visited and people who are there on the floor, who have been with them. They can share the feedback with us in the next session. Yeah.
Sure.
Sure.
Thanks, Ravi. It was very simple, and the way you guys took the first session, it was able to understand who are new to know what is this Gemba walk. It was like as Vaidis initially said, it like the Zumba dance or something. Yes, it was sounding like Gemba walk. To be very frank, thanks, Ravi. It was very simple, and it was the way it was interesting. Also, though it was a short, we were able to get a figure like what it is like, why it is needed, and what is the purpose of the initiative. Basically, yeah.
Thank you, Srilekha.
Thank you, Ravi.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ravi. Thank you all.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you all the team and all the best for the Gemba team for the first thing. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thanks. Bye bye everyone. Good evening.